BP's mobile offshore drilling unit exploded and sank into the Gulf of Mexico. Over 87 days, 314 million gallons of oil was released into the Gulf, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, published August 2020. It not only affected the Gulf of Mexico, it also affected the coasts of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, and Alabama, as stated by the Marine Mammal Commission Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, published January 25, 2021. Whether you care about the Gulf and what happens to it, you have to agree that this is an issue that needs to be solved, whether that is in 10 or 20 years. The United States Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, should mandate the reduction of oil production in the Gulf of Mexico by 50% by the year 2050. Today, I will start off with the problem with oil drilling by the Gulf. Then, I will talk about how the EPA can reduce the oil drilling by the Gulf. Starting off with the problem with oil drilling by the Gulf. The problem with oil companies drilling by the Gulf. This was the largest oil spill in U.S. history. The explosion of the mobile offshore drilling unit caused 314 million gallons of oil to go into the Gulf, which is equivalent to 200 Olympic-sized swimming pools, referring back to the NOAA. Tourism was also affected at the Gulf. Tourism declined significantly after the oil spill. Visitor spending dropped by $270 million in 2010, with an overall drop of $422 million in 3 years. Hotels and restaurants had trouble booking events. Even neighboring Gulf states were affected by this. Even if they didn't have any oil on their beaches, people still didn't want to go, just in case if there was. As mentioned by Sir Ferrari from the Surfrider Foundation, tourism and oil spills don't mix, published December 14, 2015. This problem not only affected the Gulf and the animals in the Gulf, it also affected the people that were there when it exploded. Over 8,000 animals were killed 6 months after the spill, looking back on the Marine Mammal Commission. Their habitats were contaminated as well. The exposure to oil caused a wide range of health effects, such as reproductive failure, organ damage, and animals killed by these effects were the largest and longest marine mammal unusual mortality rate recorded in the Gulf of Mexico. In sea turtles, it decreased their mobility, caused exhaustion, dehydration, overheating, and decreased their ability to feed and evade predators, and overall death, as specified by the U.S. Department of Commerce government agency Deepwater Horizon Effect on Marine Mammal and Sea Turtles, published February 2, 2017. Out of the 216 workers working that day, 11 were killed by the explosion. As reported by the Environmental Protection Agency, Deepwater Horizon BP Gulf of Mexico oil spill, published December 4, 2020. I just told you about the problem with oil drilling by the Gulf. Now I will talk about how the EPA can reduce that. The EPA needs to reduce the oil drilling by the Gulf by 2050. To have the BP reduce their drilling and stop them from killing the animals and the reefs. It cost the BP about $15 billion in economic damages and another $20 billion in cleanup costs. Once oil hits coral reefs, it essentially kills them. Reefs are very important to our everyday lives. They protect coastlines from storms and provide food and medicine for us. Not only did this oil kill the animals, it also killed the coral reefs. EPA, in partnership with other federal and state departments and agencies, have made significant progress in addressing the impact of the spill. The agencies and its partners will work to sustain this progress into the future. As explained by the Environmental Protection Agency, Restoring the Gulf of Mexico after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, published September 22, 2020. 2050 is a reasonable time for the EPA to reduce the drilling. In 2016, 6 years after the oil spill, an $8.8 billion settlement for restoration was reached and is still in effect today. I don't want them to get rid of all of the drilling because we need the drilling for the oil. But seeing as how one explosion caused so much damage, imagine what more than one could do to our environment, thinking back to the NOAA. The cause of the explosion. The emergency valve designed to cap the well in case of an accident, known as the blow-up protector, failed and caused oil to reach the drink, causing it to explode. To prevent this from the future, they should do more frequent and thorough inspections on the blow-up protector and the oil drill in general, mentioning back to the Environmental Protection Agency. Today, I told you about the problem with oil drilling by the Gulf and how the EPA can reduce the oil drilling by the Gulf. The United States Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, should mandate the reduction of oil production in the Gulf of Mexico by 50% by the year 2050. As I stated before, a lot of damage was done to the Gulf and the people in the Gulf of Mexico. Something needs to be done before this gets worse and more explosions start happening and all of our oceans and gulfs end up getting polluted and essentially die in the end. And that's